I now call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. I would like to remind everyone that some of our meeting presenters may participate by Zoom. Ms. Ozinski, may we have a roll call, please?
Trustee Basquette?
Yes.
President Feaster?
Here.
Trustee Mohammed? Trustee Schmidt?
Present.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Present.
Trustee Wilkins?
Here.
Vice President Wilkes?
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Ozinski. I would now like to introduce the non-voting member at the table, Jazz Parks, Superintendent of Schools.
Good evening. Thank you, President Feaster.
I believe that brings us down to the land acknowledgement statement. I'll turn it over to Trustee Wilkerson to please read that statement.
All right. We acknowledge that the Ann Arbor Public Schools District occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabeg, Three Fires Confederacy, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi. The taking of this land was formalized in a process alien to Native cultures by the Treaty of Detroit in 1807. The Ann Arbor Public Schools recognizes that many other Native peoples lived on this land at different times, including the Fox, Sauk, Shawnee, Kickapoo, Miami, Muscatoon, and Cherokee, many of whom were forcefully removed from their homelands. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture and does not exist in the past or solely in a historical context. Colonialism is a current ongoing process, and we understand our responsibility in educating students about our participation. We further recognize the ongoing relationship and dependence upon and respect for all living beings of earth, sky, and water. It is our responsibility to care for this land, and we honor, with our deepest gratitude, the Native people who have and will continue to steward it for generations.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkerson. Trustees, you have all received the agenda. Are there any changes? Trustee Wilkerson?
I do have two changes. I would like to add the social media lawsuit to board action. And then I would also like to move up items from the board to go after reports from associations, or I'm sorry, after community groups.
So what I'm hearing, I think, is we'll add social media.
There's feedback somewhere.
What I think I'm hearing is that we're going to add the social media litigation to a board action section that will be after the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm also hearing that you would like to move up item from the board to where exactly on the agenda?
After discussion from our community groups.
Okay. All right.
Question.
Yes, Trustee Baskin.
Trustee, if you could enlighten us as to why you would like to move the items from the board up the agenda?
Yeah, so that's an item we discussed at executive committee. I just, we have public members here, so I think hearing from the board during those timelines could be an option to, have some in attendance that might hear what the board has to say as well.
Question. So is this just a recommendation for this meeting or for future meetings?
Personally, I think it could be a great option for this meeting and all future meetings.
But your motion is for tonight.
My motion is for the agenda for tonight.
Did you have something? No.
Well, I think I understand the spirit of it. I think that, first of all, our board meetings are meetings in public, right? They're not for the public, they're in public. The public is absolutely welcome, and they're welcome to come and speak. I don't think in our business meeting that we're holding here that it would be our role to try to start the back and forth in this situation. If indeed items from the board are strictly informational items and they aren't that, I'm going to respond because I didn't like what so-and-so said, I think that would be problematic. So I just want to make sure we kind of understand how we want to stay within the description of what we're at here, which is our school board business meeting.
Yeah, happy to respond to that. I mean, Trustee, I believe, our policy is to not respond to public commentary, so I wouldn't anticipate that anyone around this board table would be responding to anything that came through public commentary or group commentary. Again, I just think there's an opportunity for us to start presenting the information that we bring to the board table while the public may still be in attendance.
All right, so it was moved by Trustee Wilkerson. I'll support it. Any additional discussion? Trustee Muhammad?
Okay, now, okay. So, for me, I would prefer to keep it at the end just because it is not a back and forth and it's just information, for us to share. And it's going to push the rest of our agenda further. So there's more important information to include up front compared to items from the board. I feel like it's okay to be at the end, but I would rather have the important stuff like the presentations, the bond team presenting. So I would rather not push all of that further. I don't know how long the items from the board, usually it's short, but I don't know if it's going to be longer than what it is.
I understand your point. Obviously, item from the board normally takes no more than 4 or 5 minutes, so I don't really have a problem with them being moved up so the public can hear what trustees feel is important, but I understand that perspective. Any other comment before we vote on the agenda changes? Okay. So, do take them one at a time, Ms. Ozinski? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So the first is the motion to add social media litigation.
we can add the whole thing if the trustees would like to do that in one fell swoop, or should we separate them?
I would separate.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion
Okay.
to separate those two items
All right.
in case there's not support for the second.
Okay.
And I'll still support it. So I guess we do the social media litigation under board action after the consent agenda first, please, Ms. Ozinski.
Yes. Second, moved by Trustee Wilkerson, second by Feaster, to move to add the social media lawsuit to board action. Trustee Basket.
Yes.
President Feaster.
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice President Wilks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And the next part we will vote on is the potential addition or moving up of items from the board to the portion of the agenda after the community group reports. Community group reports. Ms. Ozinski, please.
Again, moved by Trustee Wilkerson, second by President Feaster.
Yes, ma'am.
And was there a discussion on that, or are we?
I think we've already had the discussion,
Okay.
so yeah.
Okay. Trustee Basket.
Yes.
Trustee President Feaster.
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad.
No.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice President Wilks.
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, I believe that brings us to, we have to vote on the entire agenda now?
Yep. Now we have
Okay.
to approve the whole agenda.
So, all right, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So
with
moved.
The addition?
Second.
Moved by Trustee Wilks, supported by Trustee
Schmidt.
Schmidt. Any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Ozinski, please.
Okay, Trustee Basket.
Yes.
President Feaster.
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice President Wilks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings us down to public commentary. The board would like to remind everyone the individuals who have signed up for public commentary will have their name called and will be given an opportunity to speak. Commenters will receive up to 4 minutes, and the public commentary period will be limited to 45 minutes. When your name is called, please come forward and speak at the microphone. To help manage your time, a clock will be placed on the screen in front of you. We would like to remind everyone that public comments generally pertain to Ann Arbor Public School District matters. Comments about any individual or individuals are expressly prohibited. Also, please understand that board members do not respond to public comments, but we will listen carefully and will follow up as appropriate. Ms. Ozinski, how many times do we have for this evening?
We have 12 signed up this evening. Each person will get 3 minutes and 45 seconds. When you hear your name, please come to the podium. First is Christy Mehta Prakash.
Good evening. My name is Christy, and I am a Hazley parent. I'm here today to discuss the deeply disturbing near-miss incident at Hazley, as well as the lack of transparency that followed. This was a serious situation. Yet parents were given limited information, delayed communication, and no clear explanation of accountability or corrective action. That lack of openness has broken trust. The emails sent to families in October and January were vague, lacked critical detail, and appeared to minimize the seriousness of the situations. Whether intentional or not, they were misleading. Parents and teachers were not given the full truth, and families were left piecing together information from social media and hearsay. That is not how a district that prioritizes student safety should operate. We have a right to accurate, complete information, especially when our children's safety is at stake. In less than 1 year, there have been 2 serious incidents at Hazley and 1 at Tappan that many parents remain unaware of. This raises an alarming question. How many other safety issues are being delayed, minimalized, or handled without full disclosure to families and the community? It is also deeply concerning when key leaders that are responsible for safety do not make themselves available to the community or participate in difficult conversations. When safety is the issue, the people responsible for it should be present, speaking directly to parents and taking ownership. Their absence sends the message that parental concerns are secondary and accountability is optional. Families deserve leadership that shows up, speaks plainly, and acts decisively, even when the situation is uncomfortable. Parents deserve a clear and written explanation of what changes have been implemented since the January 16th incident. A defined and consistent protocol for parent notification following safety-related events. Transparency regarding all recent safety incidents across the district. And direct engagement from all district leadership responsible for student safety. These are not unreasonable requests. They are fundamental expectations. I am not looking for reassurance or vague statements, but solid and specific action. Let me be clear. Silence is a choice. Not acting is also a choice. Both are unacceptable. Parents will not forget the miscommunication, delayed responses, and absent leadership. We are paying attention. Our students and teachers deserve real accountability and action. These children and teachers matter. Their safety, their well-being, and their ability to learn and teach without fear must be a priority. It is time for this district to act with urgency, transparency, and honesty, because these students and educators deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Siebers.
Evening, Carolyn Siebers. As an Ann Arbor Public School employee, I taught math at Community High, served as an assistant principal at Pioneer, and was Michigan's 1996 presidential awardee for secondary math. After retirement, I was a volunteer tutor at the Robot Shop, Peace Neighborhood, and Community. I felt connected to and part of the school community. I was proud of the Ann Arbor Public Schools, my contributions to it, and its willingness to examine its practices and work toward inclusion and improved outcomes for all groups and types of learners. Last year, I occasionally helped a 7th grade Tappan student whose family became endangered helping the U.S. in Afghanistan. I was impressed by the student's ability to understand and use mathematical concepts. His curious nature would have him posing what-if questions, and he was eager and quick to learn more advanced ideas. Ann Gear has been the student's school mom since the family's arrival. When I contacted her in mid-October, I was surprised to learn he was not in algebra, and her parental attempts to get him in the course had been summarily rebuffed. While common practice was for counselors to move students into algebra when parent requests were made in the first 2 to 3 weeks, Ann's request for this student during that period was deemed too late, deferred to the principal, and denied. Such differential treatment and singular power prompts questions about equitable student treatment within and among schools. After hearing about this early denial, I met with the district math coordinator to better understand the system. I learned the curricula for grade 8 and Algebra 1 were quite similar in the first quarter, so it was important for the change to be made at that time. I also learned the student had low standardized test scores. I was not surprised to learn that an English language learner might do poorly on such a test. The coordinator also reported the district had stopped using an algebra readiness test as the results were not a good predictor of future success. At Tappan, this student's low scores were repeatedly cited to explain him not being allowed to take algebra. Ann and I urgently tried to meet with the principal to discuss rationale for moving him after the quarter. However, we were never granted a meeting and instead received an email from the principal about 2 weeks into that second 9 weeks, denying it and saying that the district had an online option. For a student in the midst of learning English, the viability of online learning is questionable. As we found from research following COVID, many types of learners struggled and experienced learning loss while working individually on computers for instruction, homework, and assessment. Is the continued use of online materials in Ann Arbor after return to classrooms based on student achievement data, textbook companies, budgetary concerns? Since I believe this Tappan student was unfairly denied the opportunity to take 8th grade algebra, I was persistent in advocating for him. At the end of both marking periods, I tried to pursue possible changes. I feel uniquely qualified from a professional standpoint to share a highly relevant assessment, having taught and tutored in these courses in this district. Between semesters, I tried again to speak up for the student. The secretary reported everyone in the district up the chain of command had decided this was the appropriate placement. I have worked personally with this student, whereas no one else in the Tower of Command who refused to speak to me has. On what do they base their hardened position? Have any of them spent a minute with a student or with Ann Gear that would help accurately assess his capabilities?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. My heart hurts for this kid.
Thank you. Next is Ann Gear.
Good evening. My name is Ann Gear. I've lived in Ann Arbor for over 20 years. During that time, I have been a staunch supporter of Ann Arbor schools, voting for millages, raising money to support teachers and educational programs. My daughter graduated from an Ann Arbor high school, and through her schooling, I found many reasons to believe the claim that appears on the district website. I quote, "No person shall be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subject to discrimination in any education program." But in the last 6 months, I have found reason to question that claim. In the spring of 2022, the church of which I'm a member decided to support a family of new Americans. Because I'm a teacher, I offered to be the education person. It quickly became clear that just helping the students to register for school wouldn't be enough. While the parents were deeply committed to the education of their children, indeed had come to this country to help them with that, barriers of language, limited literacy, and work that requires week-long absences from home would make it impossible for them to provide all the support their children would need as students. So I became the school mom. In this capacity, I have served as the communicator between the parents and the schools. The children routinely come to my house after school to do their homework, and I am the one who answers the phone on the few occasions when the children misbehave. As an educator, I always look for ways to help students build strengths, because I know that they feel if they can do one thing well, that feeling will carry over to areas where they may not be as able. To one of these children, I saw potential for deep learning in math, as Carolyn has referred to. Last spring, I began asking questions about how students' classes are scheduled, and I was told that students are assigned classes in the fall. I have provided each of you members on the board a timeline of the multiple times in September, October, November, and January when I have requested this 8th grader be allowed to enroll in Algebra 1AC. The only reason ever offered for the continued denials of my request is that this student had a low score on the NWEA test. It didn't matter that the student had earned A's in the first and second quarters of 8th grade math. It didn't matter that this student had been on the honor roll more times than not. It didn't matter that an experienced and excellent teacher of math, Carolyn Sievers, identified this student as possessing real potential. The only option offered was A2 virtual. For an English language learner, having to read explanations on a text and having no one to answer questions or explain concepts, this option feels like punishment rather than an opportunity to learn. So I'm here tonight to say with great sadness that my experience tells me that schools in Ann Arbor do exclude participation in and do withhold the benefits of education from some students. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Diebold.
Hello. I have had children at Allen for 5 years. For those 5 years, Allen has felt like more than a school. It has felt like a community, and it has grown to feel like a family. I have often described Allen as a special place to incoming families and my friends when discussing schools. I and my whole family are deeply committed to AAPS. Because of that commitment, I must speak up about what I'm seeing. In the last 2 years, I've seen a change in the teachers at Allen. They're still the wonderful educators they've always been. They are so beleaguered. It's hard to imagine how they wouldn't be when they've had to weather years without sufficient pay and 2 increases to their health benefits costs in 2 years. They are repeatedly asked to do more with less resources, including managing more unsafe and challenging behaviors without appropriate support. They so desperately want to be there teaching kids, but AAPS is making it feel unsustainable. I've seen a pattern of broken promises. Isn't this at least the second time a mistake in a budget is costing them raises? Teachers can't afford to live here given these salaries that continue to come short of competitive pay. I beg you to fix this in whatever way is necessary to restore my kids' teachers, my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Wesley Diebold.
I am a student of Allen Elementary.
Wait a second. Somebody's going to help you out. Hold on.
Yeah.
On the left side.
All right, see.
I am a student of Allen Elementary. I came into a school feeling shy, but all of my teachers were very welcoming. I've only had some of the teachers, but even the small encounters have taught me they're all great. It's clear my teachers care about their students' futures. My teachers have made my life much better. Teachers deserve a contract and more money so they don't feel stressed about their bills. Please help my teachers have an easier time living in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Amiel Handelsman.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Amiel Handelsman. I'm one of the founders of Screenwise Ann Arbor. This is my 5th time speaking here, and if not for 2 snowstorms, it would be my 7th. I might be getting term limited. But I also had the privilege of meeting with each of you individually, and we really are here to be a resource to you as you consider your decisions around phones in school. Just a moment to take a look at the big picture. So last year, 2025, was a banner year for state action on smartphones. 22 states enacted restrictions. And the big shift was from an instructional-only time ban or classroom ban to all-day phone-free schools. That was the big shift. In fact, Indiana spent a year with the classroom ban, and they said, we're going all day. You can look it up. Very interesting. Initial research shows that the biggest gains in learning, social interaction, teacher morale, and safety come from all-day policies. Meanwhile, here in Ann Arbor, we've been making some positive changes. The high schools have been moving towards classroom bans, while the middle schools have been tightening up the, quote, out-of-sight approach, where you just have to keep your phones out of sight. In no district school are students giving up access to their phones all day. Hopefully, by the fall, with your leadership, all of them will be. And I think through conversations with several of you, including Trustee Wilkerson, we've come to the conclusion that the Yonder pouch is a way to do this that has the least impact on traffic flow through schools, while also being very effective. So in October, I came here with a petition asking you to lead the district in this direction. Over 1,000 parents and teachers have signed it. They represent 24 different schools, including every high school and middle school, from Scarlett to Clague, from Carpenter to Burns Park, and more. And their message is clear, and I want you to hear this. If you create this policy, we will have your back. Over the past 3 months, we've had over 24 people stand here and speak in favor of our proposal. Parents, teachers, a neuroscientist, a family physician, a U of M statistics professor, and more. In fact, one of my friends who's a law professor, Echo Yanka, has been scheduled twice and not been able to make it due to snow. Hopefully be here again soon. But that's not all. We've also shared comments from petition signers pleading you for take this positive step. You may recall I gave you a thick paper copy back in the fall. That has now grown to 30 pages. You have an email message from me linking to all 30 pages of comments. Every time I look at them, I get inspired, I get energized. I was feeling a little low tonight. It got me up here. And meanwhile, we've been meeting with principals to hear about their experiences and how to make this work for them. And our aim has been to do two things in partnership: to show you the benefits of an all-day approach and to address their concerns. For the benefits, as we've said, it's giving students a 7-hour break from social media, online rumors, cyberbullying, body shaming, classroom distraction, and I'm going to have to add, phoning in false rumors that end up with police officers from AAPA and PD coming to the schools. Fewer disciplinary referrals and suspensions, fewer fights, and we all know which students these disproportionately affect the most. For teachers, it's lifting a huge weight off of their backs. With a classroom ban, you have 7 class periods a day in each school. Let's say Huron, where my son's going to be in 9th grade. Maybe 70 classes at any given time. So 700 times a day, a teacher is at the door managing and policing phones. With a Yonder pouch, students walk in, it happens once, and a burden is lifted off of police's shoulders. So I look forward to meeting again with you individually, and thank you again for your wonderful attention.
Thank you. Elijah Morrow.
Hello, my name is Elijah Morrow, and I'm a junior at Huron High School. You may remember that I spoke back in December on the topic of school start times. Firstly, I would like to respond to some of the points of clarification that were made during that meeting. It was mentioned that school start times were pushed later in 2018, and that before that they had started significantly earlier. That change was from 7:45 to 8. It was also stated that AAPS was proud to be ahead of the curve on this issue. I would like to remind everyone that experts unanimously state that high schools should not be starting any earlier than 8:30. This has been established since 2014, over a decade ago. We are far from ahead of the curve on this issue. Every day that we start at 8, we are going against expert recommendations and harming our kids in almost every aspect of their lives, including mental health, mood and well-being, academic success, attendance, and safety on the road. Naturally, one would expect that we are continuously working toward the goal of 8:30. However, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it is my understanding that there is nothing being done right now to work toward that goal. That is why I would like to request that a school start time evaluation be added to next meeting's agenda for board discussion and possibly a board vote. A feasibility assessment would allow for possible alternative schedules to be formed and each of their costs and effects evaluated. That would clear up any concerns or confusion anyone may have and clearly present what the options are and what it will mean for everyone involved. Then we would have an informed community discussion on which option is best. I've emailed all board members individually requesting this be added to the agenda and the executive committee as a whole, and I've still received no response from anyone. All I'm asking for right now is that the issue be looked at and discussed. If the community decides that no change is best, that's fine. If we decide to push it to 8:30 or even later, that's great. The point is that we evaluate, discuss, and decide on the issue instead of pushing it off or ignoring it. Children deserve more than inaction. Thank you.
Thank you. David Sandfield.
Good evening. I'm a parent in the district, and I want to address cell phones again. Knowing that some parents are worried that a phone ban means less safety or less connection to their children, can you hear me? That instinct is completely understandable. We all want to protect our kids, but the reality, according to the professionals who handle school safety every day, is actually the opposite. So I'm going to read a statement from the National Association of School Resource Officers, or NASRO. It should be noted that they're the gold standard in school-based law enforcement, training, and they're not for profit. NASRO, this is the statement, is extremely supportive of a statewide bell-to-bell phone and social media free policy for grades K through 12. We do not support an exception for emergencies. We know that school students and staff are safer when students' cell phones and personal devices are not present during the school day. For this reason, if students are allowed to bring personal devices to school, they should be securely locked away and inaccessible to the student from the first bell to the last bell of the day. We often hear parents say that they want to be able to contact their student in an emergency situation, such as an active shooter, God forbid. However, outside communication during this critical time makes students less safe. In an emergency situation that requires a lockdown, the following are essential safety procedures. 1, students need to be focused on the adults giving instructions during this critical time. They need to listen to the teacher and/or first responder for guidance. Messaging or calling their parents who are not in the building could distract students from life-saving instructions. 2, if in hiding, students need to remain quiet. Noise and/or light from students' phones could alert an assailant to the location where students are hiding. 3, phone lines need to remain open for communication between staff and first responders. If hundreds of students are calling their parents, then the communication channels may be overwhelmed and impede necessary communication. 4, clear access to the school allows for faster response times by first responders. If parents are alerted by students and rush to the school, that extra traffic could potentially block access routes. 5, the fewer people approaching the building, the more secure the surroundings. So parents rushing to the school can be at risk, actually. 6, schools are equipped to manage emergency communication with first responders and with parents. Misinformation can quickly spread over social media, and if students are texting and posting on social media during an emergency situation, it could lead to a more hazardous situation. So that's the statement, and I want to add that it's not only about rare emergencies. Schools that limit phone access see fewer discipline issues, fewer privacy violations, less cyberbullying, fewer social media-driven conflicts. A phone-free school day supports a calmer, more focused learning environment. And this is not about being anti-technology. It's about being pro-childhood, pro-learning, pro-safety. A bell-to-bell policy doesn't just take phones away from families. It simply sets a boundary during the school day so students can focus, connect in real life, and be fully present. So we trust schools with our children's safety, education, and development for 7 hours a day. And creating a phone-free environment during that time is a reasonable, research-supported boundary that helps schools do that job well. So thanks for your time. And thanks for putting student safety first.
Thank you. Stephanie Vogel.
I'm Stephanie Vogel. I'm a parent of a student at Forsyth Middle School. Recently, there's been 2 walkouts. My child has not been in school for those due to the safety. I do understand that middle school students in the United States possess First Amendment rights to engage in political protests, though these rights are subject to limitations within the school environment. 1969 Tinker versus Des Moines was established that students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression in the schoolhouse gate, meaning you guys are putting our children at risk by allowing them to protest at the middle school age. These children don't even know what they're protesting, yet they're being allowed to walk out of classroom, which is a disruption, and that is part of that that Tinker versus Des Moines. You're not to allow disruption of class time. You're not supposed to allow off-campus situations. And to say that these schools are protecting our children with 2 adults in the schoolyard with them is absurd. We could have any person drive past that, see our children out there, decide they're done with this, and they could shoot up the school. They could drive through the schoolyards. They could harm not just the children that are choosing to protest, but the children that are not choosing to, the children inside the schools, the teachers inside the schools. Putting these situations in our schools should never be a thing. If the parents want to take their children to protest, let them. The school doesn't get to decide that. There was not a permission slip sent. There was an email sent stating this is what we're doing. We're allowing these students to do this because it goes, if we don't allow them to do it, it goes against their civil rights. Wait a minute. We're talking about taking cell phones away. That goes against their constitutional rights. The walkouts have to stop. My 13-year-old has not been to school since last Friday because she's scared. This is valid. You guys say safety is of the utmost importance and we want our children to feel safe at school. She doesn't feel safe because her peers are choosing to do this. Not only that, but it's causing divide in schools. It's causing divide amongst peers. These children are being forced to separate because the kids that stay in class are known to not support this. The kids that go out are known to support this. So you guys are directly allowing divide to be happening in these schools at the middle school age. These kids can't vote. They're not up for next vote. High school age, fine. Middle school, absolutely not. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Esther Zekic. Margaret Schreiber.
Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret Schreiber, and I have a daughter who graduated from Skyline in 2023. I'm a co-founder of Focus on Education Ann Arbor, and I'm thrilled to be part of the Screenwise Ann Arbor movement and the campaign for all-day phone-free schools. Tonight, I'm going to be reading some select comments from the Ann Arbor public school parents who have signed the petition to support all-day phone-free schools. And these parents aren't here for a variety of reasons. Some are working other jobs, and some are driving kids around. So I'm volunteering to step up here. The theme of these comments is face-to-face socializing. When students have smartphones at school and have a free moment, they look down at their phones rather than up at their classmates. Policies focused on classroom time only don't address this because they don't cover lunch and passing periods. One Tappan parent says, "My daughter says many of the boys in the lunchroom at Tappan do not socialize during lunch because they get on their phones and computers and don't talk to each other. I think this is a shame for the social emotional development of our boys." A Pioneer parent says, My daughter struggles with socializing, but without phones at school, she could probably manage to rise above her mental health obstacles and have a healthy social life. Phones seem to have tipped the scales and made sure she stays in her shell and doesn't make close friends, since she can always hide in her phone and other kids are harder to connect with because they're in their phones. My other daughter is overwhelmed by texts from kids she does not want to communicate with, but feels it would be socially inappropriate not to reply to them all, since many of them are group texts. A Huron parent says, "My son never had a phone of his own until he started high school, a little over 3 years ago. Now, as a senior, I find his ability to use his actual voice for basic social interactions is seriously limited. His default is texting, sometimes even when in the same room as the person he's communicating with." And another Pioneer parent says, "My kids say their peers are mostly on their phones in the halls and at lunch, making it very difficult to connect with others and build social skills. Our high school student has had increasing issues with focus and less quality communication with peers during appropriate times to talk, as everyone is on their phones. This has impacted social interactions even outside of school. I am a social worker and work with kids and teenagers from around the state, with several commenting on how it has been nice to actually talk to kids again when they've had a phone lockup type system, the type of the yonder pouch that Amiel was showing you guys. Thank you for your time, and I really hope you'll consider this."
Thank you. Lena Kaufman.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, especially on the eve of your board retreat. Before I start my comments, I just wanted to call out Elijah. As a parent in the district, when my kids were small, it would have been such a blessing for the school to start as early as possible. And now that I have teenagers, it would be a blessing for school to start as late as possible, because entertaining those little kids in the morning while they're so excited to go to school, but you still have 2 hours to fill, it's challenging. So, bravo to Elijah. My comments tonight are about when the financial crisis hit AAPS 2 years ago. There was a great deal of work that got put into making strategic cuts. This included examining possible land sales and cutting programs. It was a hard time, and I'm very grateful to all the work the district did to research these various options. Yet, once the crisis passed, the outward communication about how the district would become leaner and more efficient sort of dried up. Perhaps work has continued behind the scenes, but it's not something that we as parents in the district necessarily see. What we do see is that our teachers are now overdue for salary increases, given inflation, housing, healthcare costs. Everything's continuing to rise. We also see that the goal of getting the fund balance back to a healthy level and thereby protecting our ability to make payroll in a crisis keeps moving further and further into the future. I don't know when we're going to hit that criteria the board wants to hit for a safe fund balance. It is clear that in these uncertain times, more state and federal money for Ann Arbor is unlikely, and the district will continue to lose about 100 students a year just from enrollment shrinking. That leaves only the path of making some smart strategic cuts to create a fair working environment for the staff and teachers that deserve this. I thereby want to urge the board and district to get back to the work they started in 2024 on efficient cuts and strategic cuts, and examining one-time possible sales to get our fund balance back on track more quickly. What happened to the possible selling of the small amount of woods to the west of Pioneer that is no use to the school but could be a possible space for some housing? Do we still need 2 administration buildings? Or could we sell Ballas now that we have this beautiful building in Domino's Farms? As a parent, I love my neighborhood school, but I don't understand how we have actually increased administration by adding an assistant principal to a school without any enrollment increase. I also don't understand why, when checking the Michigan School Data Parent Dashboard, I can see that kids at Skyline High School, on average, by how much we spend, it's $1,000 more at Skyline than for kids at Huron. That doesn't seem fair or efficient. So thank you very much, and good luck at your board retreat.
Thank you. Is Esther Zekic here? Esther Zekic? Okay, that concludes public commentary.
Thank you, Ms. Osinski. We appreciate hearing from our community. The board would like to thank everyone who spoke and shared their comments tonight. Ms. Parks, are there any points of clarification?
Yes, thank you, President Feaster. Starting with Hazley, the clarifications there. We certainly had heard from our community and our staff at Hazley in the days immediately surrounding the incident there. And I do want to make sure that we share, again, publicly, as we have shared in communications directly with the Hazley community, that there has been a very clear and intentional collaboration with law enforcement and other agencies to respond as quickly as we are able to with the information that we have available to us when it becomes available to us, with what we are able to share from the school district standpoint versus what is law enforcement's purview to share. So we have continued to communicate directly with the Hazley community as recently as a couple of days ago, where we did share out those steps that have been taken regarding some of the safety measures and responsiveness to the concerns that both staff and parents had related to those safety measures. So those communications have gone out several times to families. We have continued to have direct engagement with the Hazley staff as recently as this week, going in and continuing those conversations with staff members, both as a whole and as individually, to continue to help work through the concerns that they have also. So I do want the community to know, trustees, you know as well, because we've been in communication about it, that our work there has not been lacking at all in terms of the responsiveness, including our participation in the public town hall that we were invited to be a part of in the days immediately following the incident there. So we will continue to do our work at Hazley and across the district in general as it relates to our safety and security protocols. But again, we have heard the community's feedback and have tried to adjust our communications, again, sometimes multiple communications in a day, to keep the community informed as to the information that we are aware of, when we are made aware of it, and what is in our purview to share versus law enforcement's. As it relates to the math commentary, we trustees, we can't, as you know, can't share FERPA protected information. So I won't speak about the students specifically. I will only say that school teams do engage directly with students, parents, guardians, or legal caregivers about the steps that the school takes in order to support students. And we have followed up on that and confirmed that those conversations have happened in support of the students' math courses. So again, our school teams engage directly with parents and caregivers, and they have done so. As it relates to the cell phone conversation, we continue those discussions and appreciate continuing to hear from our families and their advocacy for the cell phone policies. Again, we continue to speak with our staff and the Board of Education as we work towards whatever policy we may put in place. The student protests, to clarify there, protests are not organized by schools or school personnel. We are viewpoint neutral. We do not organize student protests, but students have a First Amendment right to do so at any age and level, high school, middle school, and elementary. And we have a legal obligation to allow them to do that. Our role, if that should happen at any level, is to provide supervision to ensure our students are safe. We communicate out when we are aware in advance that protests are going to take place, but I do want to make sure it is clear that our schools and our school staff do not organize any type of student protest or demonstration. Those are completely organized by students, and our role, again, is one of supervision. As it relates to the district budget, again, we've said it in several communications, we've said it here many times at the table, that we too want to provide our teachers and our staff with competitive wages. That is our commitment. We continue to bargain with our employees in good faith, while also looking for the long-term stabilization of the district and the difficult decisions that have to be made in order to get us there. As one of our last commenters talked about, stabilizing on the heels of our budget crisis, we continue to do the work, the long-term work of looking at those things that will be revenue enhancing for the district and stabilize our funding. We continue to look at property sales. We continue to look at programs. We continue to look at our schools and capacity and all of those things. None of that work has stopped. We continue to do that, and we will continue to do that as we work towards some long-term health for the district financially.
Thank you, Superintendent Parks. Trustees, I would like to call your attention to the community feedback for this meeting. And that will bring us down to number 5, reports of association. Ms. Ozinski, do we have a representative from AAEA?
It looks like we have Mr. Klein coming up for the AAEA.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, Ann Arbor Public Schools community, and talented and fierce AAEA members. My name is Fred Klein, and I am the president of the Ann Arbor Education Association, the union that represents the teaching and instructional staff of the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I want to begin tonight by recognizing some Ann Arbor educators, past and present, whose work reflects the highest standards of our profession. First, congratulations to retired AAEA member Kathleen Kosabud, who has been selected as the recipient of the 2026 David McMahon Human Rights Award, which will be presented to her tomorrow at the MEA Winter Conference in Detroit. Kathleen is being honored for a career of relentless advocacy for students, particularly students in special education and transgender students. Her work has directly improved student outcomes and created safer, more affirming learning environments. Beyond her work in schools, Kathleen has demonstrated sustained leadership through PFLAG, the Student Advocacy Center, and the Washtenaw County MEA Retirees Group, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion while increasing support and resources for marginalized communities. She also led the Postcard Project, which was mobilizing educators and community members to elect leaders who prioritize public education and equity. And she continues to coordinate donations for students in need, strengthening community services that support under-resourced families. Kathleen's career represents the moral leadership educators bring to this district every day. Congratulations, Kathy, on this extraordinary and well-earned recognition. I also want to recognize AAEA member and special educator Justin Harper, who was featured in the MEA Voice for the second time this school year. So Justin's story is a powerful indictment of a system that fails students, and a testament to what happens when educators refuse to give up on those students. After working as a paraeducator in AAPS, he completed 3 years of night classes and co-founded a youth program during COVID. Justin returned with his teaching certificate as a special educator at Slauson Middle School. He teaches from a place of empathy, not judgment, grounded in the understanding that shame never produces growth. His work reminds us that what students are capable of when adults invest in them instead of writing them off. Justin represents the very future this district claims it wants. Congratulations, Justin. Now to bargaining. As the board is well aware, Ann Arbor educators are working without a contract. While we recently signed 2 memorandums of agreement, MOAs, which is good, one increasing cash in lieu for educators that do not take the district-provided health care, and the other one releasing the 27L funds from the state. Those are nice little victories, but those agreements do not address the core issue. Educator compensation in Ann Arbor remains uncompetitive and undervalued. We met yesterday from 9:30 to 3 o'clock, bargaining with the district, and made little progress. We returned to the table on February 11th and again on February 26th. Working without a contract in this district is not just frustrating, it is degrading. Year after year, the district chooses not to plan for educator pay. Budgets are built first, and educators are treated as an afterthought. This is not accidental, it is a deliberate pattern. Last year, the AAEA and the Ann Arbor Public Schools jointly acknowledged in a statement that Ann Arbor educator compensation is not competitive. The district committed to fiscal responsibility as a way forward. That commitment was not honored. After a full year, the district returned to bargaining, demanding concessions as the price of any wage increase. That is not fiscal responsibility. That is shifting the cost of mismanagement onto educators. At the December board meeting, statements were made that strongly implied that teachers received raises this year. The record needs to be corrected. Only about half of the teaching staff is eligible for step movement on the salary schedule. The other half, those at the longevity levels, received no increase whatsoever because the district once again failed to budget for salary schedule improvements. Steps are not raises. They are contractual and state-mandated retention mechanisms that must be budgeted for. Meanwhile, educators at the top of the scale receive nothing, and all AAEA members who take district health care saw their take-home pay decrease because the district continues to choose not to fund at the state-allowed level of health care premium cost sharing. Let me be unmistakably clear. The Ann Arbor Public Schools has a long documented history of failing to invest in its educators, and it is now explicitly conditioning fair pay on concessions that would dismantle essential contractual protections. This approach harms students. Strong contracts are not obstacles to student success, they are prerequisites for it. Planning time, class size limits, and fair compensation are not perks. They are the foundation of effective teaching and stable schools. When educators are underpaid and overextended, students pay the price through turnout, burnout, and instability. For years, the AAEA has bargained in good faith. We accepted concessionary contracts. We trusted promises that were never fulfilled. We agreed to contingencies that were never realized. Well, that era is over. We are at a critical crossroads. Continuing the same practices will continue producing the same results. Declining competitiveness, accelerating educator attrition, and a growing gap between the district's stated values and its actual priorities. Comparable districts are investing in their educators, and they are reaping the benefits. Ann Arbor is not. Our members want to stay. They want to teach here. They want to serve this community. But commitment cannot substitute for respect, and respect must be demonstrated through action, not words, not promises, and not concessions. Thank you.
That brings us to community group reports, unless there's another. That brings us to community group reports. Ms. Elzinski, do we have any groups signed up for this evening?
We do. First, we'll hear from Embracing Our Differences, Michigan.
Good evening. I'm Kay Wade, former retired Ann Arbor public school teacher and district coordinator, as well as I'm the educator director of Embracing Our Differences. And this is Nancy Margolis.
Good evening, Superintendent and Board of Trustees. In the spirit of full disclosure, I want to say that Liz Margolis is my wonderful daughter-in-law. So
Okay.
I am the executive director of Embracing Our Differences Michigan, which is an art and education program about diversity, equity, inclusion. The showcase of our program are the huge banners that you see in Gallup Park, in Ann Arbor, and Riverside Park in Ypsilanti. They are used to spark discussion about races, about diversity and equity. And you can look at some of the banners up there instead of looking at me. These are some of the banners that we have. We offer workshops for teachers, and we offer free field trips to students to come down, docent-led field trips so that the students can see the art. They are the ones that produce the art. Over the course of the past 4 years, we've brought about over 10,000 students down for field trips. But we have a very special reason we're here tonight, and an exciting reason. And Kay will tell you the reason we're here.
I would like to point out that Embracing Our Differences pays for the field trips if teachers sign up to do them. I'm here to highlight teachers and the teachers here in Ann Arbor who have contributed to the success of Embracing Our Differences. I know that our organization's success is greatly enhanced by the teachers who encourage, inspire, support, and champion their students to create art, craft thoughtful quotes, and advance diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those whose art and quotes were selected help to visually educate the community. And if you've driven by Huron High, Gallup Park in the spring and summer, you see the banners. We also appreciate teachers' participation in workshops. Some have helped to write curriculum, and those teachers who get that very last student to complete that one word in their quote or to finish the picture. All of these things they do in a classroom, despite all the many, many things they must do in the classroom. So I'd like to recognize and honor the following teachers: Dodge Delaney at Lawton, Deborah Ennis at Ann Arbor Open, Katie Flynn at Lawton, Caitlin Huff, Scarlett, Sarah George Eberwhite, Peggy Leonard, who's now retired, Lakewood, Michael Lusk, Lakewood, Sanya, I'm sorry if I'm messing up her name, Saji, Scarlett, Stephen Solomon, Lakewood, Anthony Stewart, Huron High, Jason Treese, Lawson, Laura Wayne at King, Allison Weir at King, Nick Mosier, Wines, Aaron McKillen, Lakewood, Rima Jajura, King, and Katie Boyles, Lakewood. All of these teachers have submitted art, and many of them had banners. I should say their students submitted art. And we're talking many second, third, and fourth graders, as well as some high school students. And some of their banners were up last year, and we're hoping this year to see some of the same. Thank you very much, and thank you, teachers.
Thank you so much.
Looks like we also have a community group report from Aspire.
And we do. Aspire? Yep.
Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Parks. I am a mom at Lawton Elementary. I'm a teacher at Slauson Middle School, and I'm a founding member of Ann Arbor School Parents Intent on Racial Equity. My name is Stacy Ebrin. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Aspire. We know that the state, community members, and the Board of Ed have been working to develop policy to address the challenges presented by student cell phone use during school. While Aspire does not have a position either for or against a specific policy in AAPS, we are here to advocate for an equitable process for developing and implementing any cell phone policy use in Ann Arbor Public Schools. Before writing a cell phone policy, we encourage the board to develop a process to engage parents, students, and teachers, including students of color, LGBTQ+ students, parents of different economic strata, parents of color, parents of children that need extra supports, and teachers. This engagement strategy should seek meaningful feedback that reflects the diverse perspectives of all relevant stakeholders. Furthermore, multiple methods of engagement should be utilized so that stakeholders have different avenues for sharing their input. Not everyone feels comfortable with a survey or coming to give board commentary. We give a more comprehensive list of groups at the end of this commentary. In addition to a robust community engagement strategy, the policy must be designed to avoid disproportionate harm of students who have historically been marginalized. Research by the National Bureau of Economic Research indicates there may be differential changes in suspension rates for white and black students in the year following a cell phone ban, suggesting a larger impact on black children. This should make schools consider the types of consequences given out for breaking the policy. Aspire advocates setting policies that mitigate disproportionate harms to black and brown students. We call on the district to make an explicit statement in the policy that suspension cannot be used as a consequence for having a phone in class, even in repeated instances. LGBTQ+ advocates report that cell phone bans in schools can disproportionately affect students by removing access to essential, supportive online communities and resources that are often unavailable in their immediate offline environment. These bans may increase vulnerability to bullying and remove a primary tool for safety, connection, and self-expression, particularly for students in unsupportive schools or households. The policy should also make clear how accommodations for students with disabilities will be protected. To gather input on policy development, we suggest that the board engage with the AAEA, the teachers union, affinity groups, student councils, peer-to-peer groups, community organizations such as CAN, Peace Neighborhood Center, Bryant Community Center, Girls Group, the Student Advocacy Center, Jewish Family Services, the McKinney-Vento Liaison, the Foster Care Coordinator, the Special Education Organization, AAPAC, Black student unions at our participating high schools, and Pride chapters. As the board works to develop a cell phone use policy, we believe this is also an opportunity to further embed equity into policy development. This could be done concurrently as part of the strategic planning process. We believe that all policies would be stronger and better serve all stakeholders if developed carefully with a focus on equity.
That concludes group reports.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ozinski. And I believe this is where we agreed to insert items from the board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Then I will ask trustees if trustees have anything that they would like to share. Trustee Wilkerson?
Thank you. Happy to go first. I wanted to point out a couple things. One, just the Hazley Community Forum on the 26th that our district was invited to. It was good to see a great turnout of colleagues there. I think school and student and staff safety is extremely important to us and to our administration. I want to make sure that we kind of celebrate the collaboration with the city, the police department, and fire department. And also, I'm very proud of our administrators, the recognition of supporting our community, taking feedback, and making real-time improvement. I think showing continuous improvement mentality throughout that process and taking ownership of areas that they can improve and being accountable to the process was really nice to see. So I just want to commend our administrators on that first and foremost.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkerson.
I do have one other
item.
item.
Do it now, or you want to come back?
You can come back. That's fine.
Trustee Wilkes.
Okay. First of all, happy Black History Month. And so in honor of Black History Month, I wanted to take time to honor African Americans who've had an impact on education and in other areas within our society. So tonight, I would like to recognize passionate and pioneering educator Marva Collins. So as a former Chicagoan, she is near and dear to my heart. So Marva Collins was a trailblazer in education for children living in inner city Chicago. Born in 1936 in Alabama, she later moved to Chicago. Frustrated by a lack of quality education and low standards for low-income and African-American students, she took a bold step by tapping into her pension fund to open the West Side Preparatory School in her own home in 1975. Mrs. Collins' teaching methods were rigorous but compassionate. She focused on phonics and literature, among other subjects, and she set high expectations for all students. The first students included her son, daughter, and several neighborhood children, some of whom were considered neurodivergent learners. At the end of the first year, every student has shown growth by scoring higher on their standardized tests. Her achievements prompted President Ronald Reagan to offer her the post of Secretary of Education, which she declined in order to continue the development of her school. She later received more than 40 honorary degrees, and in 1982 was honored as one of the legendary women of the world. Marva Collins died in 2015 at the age of 78. What this one woman single-handedly tried to do to make a difference in the lives of children and their families through education continues to resonate with me even today. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkes. Trustee Basket.
Thank you, trustees, for your items. First of all, I would like to touch on and clarify that the board members who did attend the town hall that was hosted by another community group, we were not in violation of the Open Meetings Act. If anyone understands the Open Meetings Act, we were not in deliberation, but we were there in terms of support and accountability. Otherwise, we would never be able to attend a high school graduation if that was a violation of coming together. Trustee Wilkes, thank you for bringing up educators and talking about what we're here for is education. One of the things I would like to remind the community is our NAPIT Day, which is usually the second Monday of February. We had mentioned that earlier, but again, this was established by one of our own educators for the purpose of intentionally welcoming families of African American heritage, so that, again, they can be a part of and know that this is for them. Of course, it is open to all families, but again, the intent was to make sure that especially African American parents, family members, caregivers know that they are welcomed, and to show that we all the schools are giving a purpose, a welcoming time for everyone to be there. I would also, I'm sorry, thank you, NAPID, National African American Parent Involvement Day. Thank you, trustee. Again, that was started by our own Joe Doolin. It is an international event, and again, should be honored, showing what one person can do. Secondly, I would like to note that at STEAM on February 11th will be a second airing of a documentary called A Letter to the West Side. And this highlights people who have attended our schools, are part of our community. And I'm not sure of the format, but it is enlightening and talks about our own local history. So I really encourage people to, if not attend, again, look at it on YouTube has a view, has it running there. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Basket. Any other items from the board before I come back to Trustee Wilkerson? Wilkerson?
All right, thank you. One other item that I wanted to bring before the board. We've heard concerns from our community. We've received, emails, communication and commentary out in the community, whether it's members of our families, teachers, staff, etc. They've raised valid questions that, I feel like it's difficult for us as board members to answer directly to. And so we've also seen a multitude of misinformation around our budget. I'd like to remind everyone that our ending fund balance is projected to be at 5.72% at the end of this fiscal year. And as of I think it was our November audit update, we spent 96% of our funds last year on services and salaries for our teachers and staff. So that would be like busing, pay, our custodial staff, etc. So I just want to point those things out. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, but we're also gearing up for strategic planning. So I've been discussing with Ms. Parks, and I would like to pull together a small pro bono consulting project to assess a few components of our budget so the board can have an independent perspective on some of our finances and be able to answer some of those tough questions that we continue to receive. So I just wanted to bring that to the board as well.
Okay. Thank you, Trustee Wilkerson. All right. If nothing else, I think that brings us down to board committee reports, and I'll go back to Trustee Wilkerson for the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Go back up to Finance. So the Finance Committee met on Friday, January 30th. We covered the monthly budget monitoring report for December and also had November access. We looked at a dishwasher replacement for Forsyth Middle School, which we'll see come before the board tonight, along with the monitoring report, and then also a 2026 device refresh for instructional staff. That'll also be presented to the board this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkerson. I believe that brings us down to the informational section of our agenda, and I believe we are at 8.1, and that is Superintendent Update. I'll turn it over to Superintendent Parks.
Thank you, President Feaster. We have a few updates this evening, as has been mentioned already. This evening, this month, February, marks the beginning of Black History Month. And in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we spotlight the celebration of Black History Month in our classrooms and within each school community. Black History Month is a time to recognize the central role of African Americans and Black Americans in our nation's history and celebrate their achievements and contributions. Each and every day in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, teachers and students, support staff, school leaders, and our community recognize and celebrate the important contributions African Americans have made in the Ann Arbor community and beyond. February is also Career and Technical Education Month. which celebrates the value of CTE programs, providing students of all ages with the academic and technical skills, knowledge, and training necessary to succeed in future careers and become lifelong learners. CTE prepares these learners for the world of work, skilled trades training, and college or university success by introducing them to workplace competencies and making academic content accessible to students by providing it in a hands-on, experiential learning context. In the Ann Arbor Public Schools, a variety of career path experiences are available to our high school students, such as auto service technology, business administration and management, construction trades and home building, cosmetology, culinary arts and hospitality, cybersecurity, digital media, web design, engineering, finance and accounting, and health sciences. We're also lucky that we are able to have Project Lead the Way in our elementary schools and our middle schools as well. So students are able to enroll in the courses of their choice at the high school level and middle school, and are provided a quality experience in the career area of their interest. February is also the Lunar New Year. In the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we honor the rich diversity within our community and the opportunity to learn from each other's traditions. Lunar New Year will be celebrated on Tuesday, February 17th, kicking off a 16-day spring festival. It is one of the most important holidays of the year among East and Southeast Asian cultures, including Chinese, Vietnamese, and Korean communities. The day is celebrated by more than 1 billion people worldwide. This week, the week of February 2nd, marks National School Counseling Week. We appreciate our school counselors every day, recognizing the tremendous role that they play in supporting our students. This week, we have the opportunity to publicly acknowledge our AAPS counselors for the critical role they play to amplify student success, which happens to be this year's theme for National Counseling Week. On behalf of the entire Ann Arbor Public Schools team and along with the Board of Education, we express our deep appreciation to all of our AAPS school counselors and honor them for their commitment and dedication. As has also been mentioned this evening already, Monday, February 9th marks National African American Parent Involvement Day, or NAPIT. Across the district, the AAPS will celebrate this day with activities across our schools, which includes assemblies, performances, student presentations, as NAPIT is in place to allow for the equitable access of opportunities for our students and our families. Our schools will host many of these events and activities, which again includes a host of things, including this year at some of our schools, a Read Aloud from Black Men Read, an organization whose mission is to improve literacy outcomes for underserved children by increasing access to books, high quality reading support, and consistent representation of Black men as readers, mentors, and community leaders. So we hope to see you in some of our schools that day, trustees. A reminder, since we do not have another board meeting before then, that our midwinter break is February 13th through 17th, and there will be no school for staff and students. Just a quick reminder too, under this update, that we want to remind our community about our AAPS winter weather guidelines. It feels like we have had a complete winter season in the month of January alone. So the way that we go about determining if conditions are a safety hazard for our students and staff, one of those first steps that we take is working with our Durham Transportation Department. They are out early driving the roads. And we also work with the Ann Arbor Road Commission, the Washtenaw County Road Commission, several other school districts, and we get together very early in the morning or very late at night and make some decisions. So our district protocols are in place regarding winter weather related closures. And these are guidelines because each weather incident is going to have some variables that are not, cleanly under our protocols. But we make an assessment based on what is safe for our students and our staff. The determining factor in school closure is always safety, including our ability to safely transport our students on our buses. And we also consider the safety conditions for our student drivers as well as our staff who drive in from surrounding areas. And we understand that school closures can be challenging and inconvenient for families at times, but we are always going to put safety first when we have to make a decision. So on that note, the last item under superintendent's update today is a negotiations update. We have Ms. Langford, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Employee Relations, here to provide that update for us this evening, trustees.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Parks, and good evening, trustees, superintendent, community, and staff as well. So I know that you are aware that we have been bargaining with our union groups since August, and I wanted to spend just a few minutes with you this evening to go over just kind of an update and also to clarify just a few recent topics that have come to the top. During our bargaining process, we have signed memorandums of agreements. We have also signed tentative agreements, and I just wanted to explain kind of the difference in those. So a memorandum of agreement is something that we sign that normally becomes effective immediately, and we immediately post those to our website. Tentative agreements are not enforced until the entire contract is ratified, and both the union and the board have ratified the contract. So all 6 of our union contracts expired December 31st of 2025. The para-union did sign an extension. However, the district is and will continue to honor the contract. When the contract expires, all mandatory subjects continue status quo, with the exception of the arbitration clause, which expires with the agreement. Specifically, regarding our AAEA teachers, which is our largest union, we have met regularly since August in good faith and have additional sessions scheduled this month. These sessions are typically all day. I want to provide some clarity around 2 items that have come to the forefront. The first being our 27L educator compensation funds. These are one-time monies that were given to us by the state for educators that had to be bargained with all of our union groups. The district proposed with all employee groups to pay these funds upon receipt. The EA opted to receive the payment upon ratification of their contract. On January 23rd of 2026, when funds were paid to all other union groups as anticipated, we began receiving emails from teachers asking why the same was not offered to them or to their group. I reached out to the union leadership via email and asked if there would be any clarification going out to the membership. I received no response. The district then suggested a MOA be signed to pay teachers now. The union agreed, and teachers will receive payment this Friday. The second item I wanted to address is to clarify the information that went out regarding whether or not we could pay teachers outside of the contract. As stated earlier, the contract still remains enforced, and we will continue to abide by the contract. So Appendix 5, Sections 13 and 14 establishes a rate of base pay for us to pay teachers outside of the contract, so we can most certainly pay them outside of their contractual hours. So this would mean for events like kindergarten roundup, anything that's after school outside of their contractual hours, that contract language allows us to do so. In closing, the district continues to look forward to bargaining in good faith for the benefits of all of our students and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Langford, and that completes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Superintendent. That brings us to 8.2, monthly budget monitoring report for November and December 2025.
Thank you. President Feaster, we have Mr. Zaski here who will present this item.
Good evening. As we get started on December, I wanted to point out a couple things. These reports are at a point in time. It doesn't change the budget. It's just a monitoring tool that we use to monitor where we're at. And like I said, I'll repeat on a couple slides when we get to it, it is at a point in time. Our first slide. Concludes my presentation.
All right. It was great to see you.
You're welcome.
So informative.
It's going to be a few minutes till we take a break.
5 minutes.
Mr. Coop. Oh, there we are.
All right. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Oh, there we are.
Okay, never mind.
False
All right.
alarm.
I don't want to stand in between break and. All right. All right. This first one is a comparison of our cash and investment reports. So one thing with this item is, as you can see, our general fund cash in comparison to last year is greater. One thing I did want to point out is last December, in December of '24, we did repay a $15 million cash note that we had taken out during the year for cash flow purposes. So that contributes to the large increase from last year, along with also, as we get into some later slides, our tax collections have been faster this year. So we received the majority of all of our tax revenue by the end of January. This year we did get a lot of it in December in comparison to the prior year. Any questions? Okay, next slide. All right, this slide is our report of monthly expenditures, very typical for a normal month with 2 pays in the month, and this is trending exactly where we thought it would be for the month of December. This shows, as you can see, I want to highlight the Community Services Fund. That one, we have more participation and also more programming, so that's why you see the increase there from the prior year. Also with the general fund, as we discussed, we are up in we have quicker tax collections, and one other thing I did not notice, as Ms. Langford said, our 27L money, we did receive the full allocation of our 27L2 money in December. So we weren't sure, I know when we talked back in December, even at that point, we weren't sure if we were going to get it all in pieces or how we're going to do it, and we did get it all in December. So. Any questions?
I do have a quick
Yeah,
question. Yeah. So what was the full allocation of the 27L monies?
$2.4 million. So.
Okay, thank you.
And there was, just for clarification on there was 2 pieces of the 27L2. 27L2 was for compensation to educators, and that's what Ms. Langford discussed, how we did pay out to all other groups in January. And then on this Friday's check, as a separate check, all the AAEA members that are eligible will receive those funds. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep. This slide here, the revenue and expenditures for the month, this shows kind of where we're at year to date. I would say that with us being at 42.6% of revenues, I would say that's pretty typical from where we would be at. That's within expectations, along with where our expenditures are at about 38.2% across all funds. So all of these are within expectations and what we do expect. So any questions?
Yeah, quick clarification.
Yeah.
So, of course, if we've received 42% of our revenues, but we've only expended 38% of our expected expenditures, we would be in a cash-rich position as well.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And that is some of the, like I said, the tax collections, the 27L, some of the state aid money, the 27L2, we did get all of it in December. So that is correct.
Perfect.
This here, and then this is kind of just the same as the previous slide, showing where our beginning fund balance was and if we were to end today. But like I said, this is just a point in time. So with our general fund, we're at around 10.9% of fund balance, but as I said, that's a point in time. A lot of that has to do with our cash collections being quicker this year. So, any questions?
To validate, there has been no change to our projected ending
Correct.
fund balancing. And I know we don't have it on the slide, but do you have those numbers available?
Correct. So if we get to the next couple, I think it'll be in a couple slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
So here is the slide of our revenues. As this shows, we are a little bit in November and December, as I said, this year, with our largest taxes through the city, and we work quicker in getting the revenue from them. So we do expect that to kind of level off. Obviously, in January is our last big revenue push. That's when we get the last of our tax revenue. So a little bit more than we anticipated, but this is based on our ending budget, which hasn't changed. But this graph here does represent projections based on prior when we usually receive the funds. Any questions on this? All right. With expenses, those are tracking where we're a little bit higher. That can be based on when invoices are received, but it's definitely within the expectations of where we anticipate expenditures to be. And then we're still tracking where we were. I do expect that to level off around January, February, March, and then towards we get the end of the year, a lot of that increase, as we'll talk about when we get closer to the end of the year, is based on accruals for accounting. And then here's the slide I think that we were in would discuss some of your questions. So on this, so as you can see, the orange line there, as it shows our fund balance around 10.9% compared to where our expectations were in prior years. Like I said, we were farther behind in our tax collections, and also with some of the state aid money that we did receive, the 27L2 money coming all in December, pushed that up. We do expect the orange line to kind of level off in January and February and come back towards that blue line, showing where our projected at points in time at the end of the month where the fund balance will be.
All right. So again, we'll see this orange line presumably dip under the blue line as we move forward, and we'll, at the end of the year in June, we will be back to 5.72%.
Correct. Right now in December, it's just a point in time. The orange line can fluctuate based on when we receive invoices for payments, when we receive taxes, state aid. We do anticipate it to level off. January might still be, we'll have to see where January lands based on our final tax revenue that we do receive, but definitely we do think it'll level off closer to the blue line for January and February. When we come back to the board to present those are still points in time, and at the end of the day, we still anticipate the ending fund balance to be at the 5.7%.
Trustee Schmidt.
So earlier in the superintendent's report, we heard public comments related to this. This is why there has to be this continual conversation about what we change and how we operate, because it's not sustainable or acceptable that we're staying that low with our fund balance. And we changed our our board policy to raise that percentage. I don't have it off the top of my head, but 8, and then over so many years up to 15. I don't know how many. And so, those will be heading into the strategic planning process where we hear from the community what they value, what teachers value. But there are important discussions that need to take place, because structurally this is not sustainable, and this has to change.
All right, thank you. All right. Well, thank you so much for that great presentation. I believe that brings us down to 8.3, and that will be the capital programs 2024-2025 annual report.
Thank you, President Feaster. At this time, we have our capital program team coming forward for the annual report. Excuse me, we have Ms. Corona, Mr. Bing, and Mr. Rice, who are going to get us started off here. I believe it's Mr. Bing.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Parks. Good evening, trustees and AAPS community. We're pleased to provide the fiscal year 25 capital programs annual report this evening. The report is intended to provide an overview of the extensive design, planning, and implementation of capital improvements over the last year, as well as describe the cumulative impacts and constructed projects to date. So the report seeks to document and categorize the work as well as quantify commitments met and track the bond and sinking fund expenditures to date. So this year, the team has been particularly busy as we broke ground on 4 new construction elementary school projects, as well as a major modernization project at our oldest middle school. So in addition to these 5 major projects breaking ground in early 25, our team was still able to add a significant body of work over this past summer, with 33 projects in total at 20 campuses in 78 days. Our team, with outstanding leadership from Mo Nagpal, our AAPS Construction Projects Manager, and all of our talented project managers at Gilbane Building Company and the leadership of Jason Steinhebel and others, have put in an incredible effort and an amount of work into staying on track. So we hope you've had an opportunity to take a peek at the report. And if not, we're going to invite Stephanie Corona, our project executive and owner's representative from Gilbane, to walk you through the report. And so with that, I will turn it over to Stephanie.
So good afternoon, trustees, Superintendent Parks, community. So quick table of contents. We're going to scroll through and we'll stop at a few sections. A lot of this is information that you've seen from year to year. Again, this is not just about updates of current projects, but cumulative. Some quick fast facts here. Our average age of our AAPS buildings, school buildings, are 70 years old. We have 5 that are over 100 years old at this point. And again, 33 projects that we were able to accomplish this year. 140 projects since 2021. We have 5 major projects in construction, and all 36 school buildings have received some type of improvement to date, with a total expenditures of $317 million. This is just a little history. Nothing's really changed. It's just for those who are reading it for the first time, gives them some brief history about the bond or about the overall program. In the next section I'd like to point out that this program is based on 2 separate funding sources, a bond and sinking fund. And so this is just as a reference of what that commitment was on bond and sinking fund. Many of you have seen this before. It's just where our focus is for the programs. If you can keep going. And if we stop here, we're going to talk about many of our projects stem from the FCA, or the Facility Condition Assessment, to maintain our facilities in good condition, which is ongoing and will continue to be ongoing. So what's going to come up here is some of the projects that we have been completed, not just this year. Items in blue were changes from last year. So those are the new items. Anything that's in black are things that we've done previously. But some updated information. We've done 568,000 square feet of roof replacement to date, 395,000 square feet of roof coating and repairs. We've done over $350,000 square feet of ceiling tile replacement, and we have 2 2.4 million square feet of air conditioning provided at 24 schools to date. So a few photos of some of the work that occurred. At Hazley and Abbott, we did air conditioning and lighting improvements. Always doing paving improvements. It's a never ending. And that includes sidewalks too, I want to point out, not just paving. We did some loading dock improvements. We had some crumbling loading docks. And a lot of these you're going to recognize that we had brought to the board last spring and winter for approval, contract approvals, and this is the work that occurred from it. Our loading dock replacement or repairs. Took care of some roofing this summer. Solar, always adding solar, and our electric EV charging stations. This year we did some additional focus on exterior improvements, facade improvements with windows and some masonry improvements. I think you saw this come through this spring, but our synthetic turf fields on our auxiliary fields at the 3 high schools. We focused on some pool locker replacements. Remember the rusted lockers that we had? No more. Took care of some of our pool timing scoreboards. Did some bathroom restoration or bathroom restroom improvements.
I don't see it.
Which, by the way, bathroom and restroom are clearly the same word, so I just double. And our network operations center. This, we did some restoration work for painting and flooring, and there's some before and afters at Community High School. So this is the original millwork from 1924. Scarlett received some much needed flooring replacement. Some additional photos of our network operations center in the middle of construction. And some updated photos for New Mitchell. We had the topping out ceremony with the Christmas tree. Currently steel, our stairs, elevator towers, our cross-laminated timber flooring.
Excuse me, Ms. Corona, before you leave Mitchell, some of our friends may not understand the importance of the tree. Could you speak to that, please?
Sure. It's a tradition for steel and iron workers that when they finish and put the last piece of steel up, they celebrate by putting a Christmas tree on top of the building. It is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And they all sign it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the kids got to sign the beam. So it's an important event. Dickin, this is some of the foundation work for the building, and the foundation's coming out of the ground. Geothermal drilling. Logan, we were doing geothermal drilling also this fall and summer and winter.
And for all of our buildings, the steel is for some complete and for some almost complete. This is Thurston and our foundations. Our steel coming out of the ground. Slauson, this was actually the removal of the pool building, and that's where the pool was. And filling in the spot. And I'd like to stop here and talk a little bit about our sustainability. So we're always looking for opportunities to be more sustainable. A big part of that is our rooftop solar arrays. And I think it's important to note there's some pretty great successes that occurred this year. You can see where we expanded on a lot of our solar arrays at Forsyth and Pioneer, and even Skyline is for an expansion there. We currently, right now, have approximately a 12% annual electrical consumption savings that our solar has helped to offset. Approximately $450,000 savings that from the general fund. So that means more money to go towards salaries or other things. We've also received $572,000 in direct pay incentives to date, $326,000 in DTE energy rebates and grants, and $7 million in federal and state grants for electric vehicle and charging infrastructure. We currently have 8 electric vehicles, school buses, in operation, and we have ordered more. There is approximately over 10,000 board feet of salvage and recovered urban wood to date from our job sites. And we have approximately 412 geothermal vertical bores that have been drilled to date to support our high efficiency, high performance HVAC systems. We've continued, as always, with our community engagement. We've ramped up on the website. We have expanded on our correspondence, on our engagements, on just information in general. We've had office hours and newsletters that go out to our school communities. And the money. So there's 2 different parts of this report. One is, this one shows our investments by fund, meaning by the bond fund and the sinking fund. So it's a breakdown to show expenditures to date for fiscal year 2025, and then previous expenditures with a total cumulative expenditures. So total to date, we have $317 million, over $317 million in capital expenditures between bond and sinking fund. And there's a breakdown between the two. 83% being bond, 17% being sinking fund. On our next slide, we're going to see by category. And this is still breaking out bond and sinking fund and a cumulative total, but this is just breaking out by category between construction, IT, any theater improvements, land, site improvements, solar, roofing, just a little bit different breakdown. In there also is our ongoing repairs from the sinking fund, and that compared with the 317 million is a cumulative of $363 million. Yes.
So just for those that don't know, but how much are we getting from the sinking fund? You know about how much? Like we know there's the one, the $1 billion bond. What are we getting on a yearly basis? Do you know about how much?
It fluctuates because it's just like what you have for, it's based on the current taxable value of homes, and so the tax base fluctuates.
Okay.
I can tell you that at the time the bond was approved, it was based on $1 billion for the bond and $400 million for sinking fund. And the $400 million was based on 2 sinking fund renewals.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that helps.
yeah.
Taking quick questions. The 317 million expenditures to date?
Through the end of the fiscal year, which was June 30th of 2025, because our fiscal year goes, so
starting when?
Starting when the bond was passed, 2019.
2019?
Yeah. November of 2019. Remember, the bond didn't pass till November of 2019. I don't think we really expended too many things until 2020. And even then, it wasn't a lot because we went into COVID. And this is just a summary of property acquisitions. There were no new acquisitions, haven't been since 2022. So, but again, this report is meant as a cumulative summary of everything that we've done to date. So first of all, I can't tell you how much pride I just from looking at all of these slides, at all the progress that's taking place, and seeing how tax dollars are really working for our district. So it's really wonderful to see everything that's going on. So is construction actually occurring during the winter? I mean, it really looks like they're working through the winter. And is that putting us ahead of schedule in terms of our construction schedule? Are we actually ahead because we are working through the winter? We're right on schedule. We're right on. Yeah, I mean, we build in snow days and, just like school builds in days for days off, we build in days for days that you can't work. If the winds are too high, we can't erect things. If you can't see because the snow is coming down too much, that's an issue too. But those are built into the construction schedule, so. And one more quick question. Yeah. So I noticed you showed the EV stations for the buses. Approximately how much are we actually saving on gasoline costs since we have 8 EV buses, is that correct? We currently have 8 in operation, yes. Okay. Do you have any idea how much we're saving? I know that. You don't know? Do you know that? And I'm assuming that would be a savings to our general fund. President Feaster, I'm sure you'd love to know that.
We can invite our EV guru, Mo Nagpal, up to the
Mr. Nagpal.
But generally, if the numbers all pencil out correctly, and we're still tracking and quantifying this, but based on the cost of diesel fuel and the cost that we pay per kilowatt hour, it can be up to 50% fuel cost savings on an annual basis, depending on how many miles the vehicle travels, how often we use it. Is that consistent with what you?
Yeah, 50% of the fuel cost is but we also have additional potential savings with maintenance related. And if you haven't seen, we'll invite you all at some point when the weather's a little better. We also have a solar canopy on top of our charging stations now, and that'll obviously help as well in reducing additional cost. And you'll see that in possibly what the diesel contract will be. It's going to, the number of gallons per year will continue to go down.
And I'm assuming that's a savings to our general fund. Okay, great. All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Excuse me. One personal question for Ms. Corona. Would a good project manager ever state that they're ahead of schedule before the project's done?
No.
But no, in all seriousness, I think this is pretty amazing, the work that we've done. I want to recognize a lot of its infrastructure. So even though, people might not see things going on, the front of their building or, direct upgrades when you have heat and you don't have to worry about a system or you have capabilities that you didn't have before, it's so important. And I just, again, want to commend the team on the commitment to sustainability and the efforts we've put in there. So it's truly inspirational to see.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I believe that brings us to number 9, first briefing. I'll turn it over to Superintendent Parks to, guess maybe I'll do this one. The first briefing, we're at 9.1 for AN 2250, commercial dishwasher replacement at Forsyth Middle School.
We have Ms. Margolis coming forward for this item, which is, as you stated, a dishwasher at Forsyth Middle School, which is about 35 years old and hanging on there, but she is going to talk us through a replacement for this dishwasher.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, exactly, 35 years old. So we are coming to you today to request the purchase of a new dishwasher for Forsyth. Dishwashers normally have about a 15-year lifespan, so we've eked this one out double time. And we have received 2 quotes for a Hobart model. It's a conveyor dishwasher, so that would be a new item for them. We use the Sourcewell cooperative contract bid, and tonight we are looking for first reading for the Stafford Smith proposal for the dishwasher with a total cost of $43,815. We have worked with Stafford Smith many times before, and this price includes equipment, installation, and they will remove the very old dishwasher as well. This funding comes from the capital bond projects.
Questions, trustees? Trustee Basket?
So how long do we hope that this new dishwasher will last?
Well, normally it's about 15 years, so we'll eke it out even longer if we can.
Okay. And so assuming that we approve this, it will start, the construction will start, installation will start when and to be completed by when?
Well, after we bring it for the second round of approval, we'll place the order, and I actually am not exactly sure how long it takes to order them, but we can let you know the next board meeting.
Other questions? Trustee Muhammad?
I'm assuming the current dishwasher is still working?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Barely, yes.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Margolis.
Thank you.
I believe that brings us down to 9.2, AN 2251, winter 2026 device refresh, instructional staff.
Thank you, President Feaster. We have Dr. Kellstrom here to talk us through this item, which is the technology refresh for our instructional staff.
Thank you, Superintendent Parks, and good evening, trustees. So every winter, we do district audits of our technology. We look at the technology, the operational practices that are tied to technology, and then instructional programming. So up for renewal right now, and we do want to beat the price increases that seem to be coming in technology, is a refreshment for our faculty for the purchase of 1,800 MacBook Air M4 laptops to replace the last series of MacBook Air laptops that they had that were purchased in the spring of 2022. They were at the end of their warranty cycle, heavily used and barely hanging on for life, so we are ready for that refreshment. This M4 model is new to us. It's what everybody's going to have in the district. We started off with our students with their refreshment, their upgrade. We moved to the building leaders and administrators. We're off to the OP group next, and then we'll finish with our faculty. The Apple per unit pricing is the same pricing that we used for our students, so it's a maintained price. The devices come with a 4-year warranty, and 2 accidental damages that are basically free every single year. And it's really helpful when you work in a very active mobile environment. Accidental damage does happen, and those get covered by the warranty. What's nice about these MacBook Airs, just as our physical properties group and our capital projects work on sustainability, we too in technology make that a priority. The product we're bringing before you is 55% recycled content as outlined in their latest product development guide. The goal, and the reason why we're here tonight, not only because we're seeing some pricing increases coming down the pipeline, is that we'd like to get these in the hands of the teachers, our faculty, before the school year ends. This is new. I heard the words continuous improvement. It's something we work really hard in technology to do all of the time. And so instead of burdening our staff at the beginning in August or over the summer at their convenience, we really want to get these in their hands. It's a new device with some great new features and some Apple Intelligence, and we want them to have time, opportunity to some pop-up training, virtual training, whatever they may need to start the school year off. These devices, the purchasing price would be through our REMC Save Pricing Cooperative, and the total purchase amount would be $2,030,418. And I open it up for questions.
That money comes from where?
Oh, bond program funds.
Thank you.
Yes. These are planned commitments.
All right. Trustees? All right. Seeing no other questions? Thank you so very much. All right, we are now at the consent agenda. Ms. Ozinski, will you please read the consent agenda?
Certainly. Approved donations. From Candace Bass, we received Huron Teacher Innovation Projects, which was donated to Huron High School. Joseph DeMarsh donated musical instruments and equipment to Tappan and Huron music departments. And Molly Bazzani donated a 2011 Volkswagen Tiguan to the Pioneer Auto Shop. Approved minutes of the November 19th closed session. Approved minutes of the January 7th, 2026 closed session. That should be November 19th, 2025 closed session. Approved minutes of the January 14th, 2026 regular organizational meeting. And approve a closed session if it is needed for February 25th, 6 p.m. for the purpose of attorney-client privilege and other reasons if needed.
Negotiations update.
And
also.
negotiations, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ozinski. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent agenda? I have a motion then.
So move.
Second.
By Vice President Wilkes, supported by Trustee Schmidt. Any discussion? None? Ms. Ozinski, please.
Trustee Basquette.
Yes.
President Feaster.
Yes.
Trustee Muhammad.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I believe that brings us down to the added item for board action, the social media litigation. I don't know if we have a proposed language for the.
Yes, I believe Mr. Comsa has sent me something here.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh boy. Okay. And I'm happy to read this. Actually, we could put it up on the screen. That might be better.
Yes, thank you.
One moment, please.
Do we want to start discussions as that
Sure.
happens?
Trustees, I think you all are aware of what this item is that was added. It's related to whether or not we're interested in joining the nationwide social media litigation that is being alleged to target students in schools. Is there any discussion trustees want to have around this litigation? And our participation in it? Trustee Schmidt?
Well, I'd like to express my support for this. Currently, we've got these entities like Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you name them, constantly bombarding children during the school day with notifications. That is a huge distraction from their learning, and it has had impacts on schools, whether it's student mental health, the fact that students may not be achieving what they could achieve. And so this is a lawsuit or litigation. I don't know exactly, it's not a class action, but I know that there are many, many schools across the country that are going to be taking these entities to task to see about some financial rewards that will cover some of our costs that the damage of these behaviors have caused for our students. And so I suggest my fellow board members that we move to join this effort.
Trustee Muhammad?
And I just wanted to add that this was, we had this presentation. I had to look at what date, but it was done through a study session, and it was April 24, 2024.
Thank you. Trustee Vice President Wilkes?
Yeah, thank you, President Feaster. I too wanted to express my support for this litigation. I believe that based on the information that we received, I know that social media companies are really targeting our students during the school day when they really should be focused on learning. And I believe that these companies are actually targeting them at specific times, specifically during the school day, which is definitely unacceptable. So again, I just want to express my support for this.
And this is hand in hand with a lot of the information and comments we've had over the last few months from different groups suggesting we do a cell phone ban, and most of that seemed to be targeted around social media's influence on kids and the use of having those apps to bully and things of that nature seems to be a lot of their major complaint. And the way I think that you really hit a company and get them to stop doing something, it's not to put the phone in the pouch, but it's to hit them in the pocketbook. And so if we're able to get these companies to realize that they should not be targeting our students and that, in fact, they'll have to pay monetary damages for it, then I think it's probably the best way to address the underlying issue. So I'm interested in supporting this.
If I could add to your comments, I think even a bigger thing is the distraction technique, the distraction. Social media is part of this, but the fact that kids are totally being drawn into whatever notification in order to buy a product, to show their friends the product, so they all want to buy the product. So that distraction is really the biggest problem with keeping kids tuned into what's happening in the present.
So this is the language I think has been introduced. Do trustees have a problem with this language, or is there a motion to pass this resolution?
I move to vote on this resolution.
Okay. So we have Trustee Schmidt has moved to pass this resolution.
Second.
That's supported by Trustee Wilkerson. Any additional discussion, trustees?
Sorry, President Feaster, can you, I'm sorry, Ms. Wilsinski, could you scroll all the way down to therefore? Because I want to make sure we understand what we are supporting. So the board authorizes the superintendent or designee to join and participate in the MDL number 3047 or any related coordinated proceedings against the social media companies. Wanted to be clear.
Trustee Wilkins.
I have a question about cost.
Yes.
So will we have to pay legal fees for this? Is this going to be any cost to the district at all?
This was,
I think, and Mr.
Contingency?
Combs can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that our the law firms we spoke to have made it pretty clear that this is not something that will cost the district any money out of pocket. This is something that would be a contingency fee type basis where we would only pay money if we won the litigation, and so there would be no cost to the district otherwise.
I have a question.
Vice President Hooks.
Yeah, what's the ultimate goal? Are we trying, is it about the money, or are we trying to really make a point about what social media is actually doing to our kids? I think I know the answer. I do know the answer, but I just wanted to put it out there. It's not really about the money. It's about making a point about what social media is doing to our children during the school day in terms of bombarding them with ads and whatnot.
Vice President, excuse me, Trustee Basket.
I mean, it's obvious that our children are at risk, right? And although we highlight the school day, social media, there is no day. There is no night. It is constant. And as Trustee Schmidt talked about the distraction, what also, that's damaging, but the falsehoods, to be polite, that is out there, and the unrealistic expectations. My life looks like this, therefore your life is. I mean, that adds to the anxiety and the depression. As President Feaster said, and having been in the business world, nothing hurts like a fine or assessment.
Right.
Right? I mean, you can get over bad press, you can, you've got marketing teams to do that, but when it hits your financial bottom line, that's when people take notice.
When the shareholders get upset.
There you go. There you go. And so while we talk about, the safety of our children, we mean it all the time, not just the school day, it's all the time and constant. So yes, there may be a fine. Just to clarify, our cost will be our time for the administrative team to help put together the documentation that will be needed to support our case. And sometimes too, we as board members will be asked by other boards, because school boards are constantly being, I won't say recruited, that sounds kind of crass, but, given the opportunity to support in this attack. We are not the first, and this effort has been going on for a few years now, since I know I found it at one of the school board conferences, and the other school districts will be joining. They mentioned Dexter, but since I think this is drafted, we have Detroit, which is a big one. And so we will just be part of that select group, if you will. So again, this is more about than the money, and I appreciate the question, Trustee.
Right. It's about the kids, but the way you get them to change their actions is the money. So, all right.
One more quick one.
Yes.
The document indicated that this would take effect immediately, effective immediately, meaning as soon as we vote and sign?
As soon as we vote, that authorizes our superintendent to meet with the law firms and to sign a retainer agreement should she decide to do so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
There's nothing else?
Do we need any final words from our legal attorney? I see him standing there. You always want to know what our attorney says.
You covered it very well, trustees.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Then Ms. Ozinski, I think we're prepared to vote.
Moved by Trustee Schmidt, seconded by Trustee Wilkerson. Trustee Basquette.
Yes.
President Feaster.
Yes.
Trustee Mohammed.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Vice President Wilks.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And I believe that
Sorry, I have one more. I have a quick question.
Trustee Mohammed.
So we need to vote do we need to put this in board action to vote to go to adjourn to closed session, or do we do that at the end? Because we still have closed session stuff that we need to do.
Did you adjourn
No,
the last closed
we did
session, just
not.
recess?
Did you recess?
We just recessed.
Yeah, you don't need to
Okay.
do
Okay,
any voting.
I thought we adjourned. Okay.
All right. Then I think that brings us down to number 11. Trustees, are there any items for agenda planning? Trustee Wilkerson?
Yeah, I do have one item, and I know this has probably been talked about. It wasn't part of the capital projects update tonight, but I think the district is working on this, like preparing a forward-looking assessment and forecast of our bond funds, project costs, things to that nature. So I don't anticipate that being a early item or early agenda item at any point in the super near future, as I'm sure there's things that are going on to actually assess that data, but I just want to get it on the list.
Yep, we actually have that as an upcoming item.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
All right.
I do have one.
Well, so Trustee Schmidt first, and then I'll come here and go back.
So I think it was brought up that in the near future, we were going to hear from the literacy team about the progress of the new reading curriculum. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. And what I would hope that at some point we can learn about from the district is what steps we're taking. We know that Public Act 1 46 and 47 passed that dealt with identifying students at an early grade with characteristics of dyslexia. And we know that I think the list has come out for valid and reliable assessments and which ones we have to choose from. And I'd like to get some reports about what we're doing to address those specific things, because in my line of work, because I do private tutoring, it's very painful to get calls from the parents I get calls from who I can't tutor because I already have enough kids, of what isn't happening. And I'm not here to assess blame. I know it takes a while to train teachers, et cetera, but I think literacy is probably one of the biggest issues that gives children access to the rest of the curriculum. And I think the board needs to know, what are we doing to get these teachers trained? What are we doing to make sure that they're mentored so they know how to apply it to practice? I mean, I don't see anything more important than making sure children can read. And it isn't just in the early grades, but what are we doing for the kids who slip through in now middle school and high school? So I'm going to be a broken record. I've got 8 months or 9 months, 10 months left on this board. But this, we have to have a sense of urgency in this, I believe. So we can talk about how that might look.
Okay. Then I saw Vice President Wilkes, and then I saw Trustee Wilkins.
Okay, so I know during public commentary, we had Elijah talking about start times. So I know that the district has already visited start times, but just for the sake of conversation, is it worth re-examining school start times? That's just, if it's the will of the board to examine that? Yes.
If I could make a suggestion that we take that up in a committee with conversation, and I know the superintendent can, and Ms. Osinski can pull up a lot of the history of when we did it before. So that's probably, I would suggest a starting point.
Okay.
Regarding that.
So I know we're restructuring our committees. Which committee would you?
Oh, I don't know. We're restructuring our committees. I'm just, I'm just saying. It's not for me to decide where.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Trustee Wilkins?
Yeah, this has been brought up, and I don't know a good place for this. It's not really agenda planning, but I would like to see, and I know I'm not alone, transcriptions of these meetings, even just as simple as the Zoom transcription, whatever's free, whatever's easy, so that folks can do a search for a certain term and go to the place in the meeting where that's being talked about. I know we're looking into some more, maybe different, more sophisticated software that'll help us with this, but in the meantime, I'm hoping there's a simple solution to just turn on whatever Zoom gives us for simple transcriptions for these meetings.
Yeah, we have been looking into that. Unfortunately, it isn't as simple as we would hope, but we will continue to try to get this accomplished sooner rather than later.
Anything else from trustees? Okay. Seeing none, I believe that brings us down to number 13. Do I have a motion to adjourn by voice vote?
So move.
Second.
Wilkes. Supported by Schmidt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.